Well, that was a tremendous episode of WWE SmackDown. That's it. The blue brand kind of gets into weird conversations on the internet. Some people are like, oh, it's been so rubbish. Other people be like, oh, it's the best thing ever. I've always kind of been in the middle with it. You get good episodes and bad episodes. But in terms of wanting to go on a roller coaster ride and tie into warm and fuzzy feelings in your tum-tum on two different levels, Triple H must have gone, ha ha, I can see some people being very mean about this, so I'm going to light you up with joy. Now, before we get into the stuff that I think people want to talk about the most, which is the Bloodline, which don't tell anyone, has secretly got back together. The Motor City Machine Guns winning the tag team titles. I have no issues with it whatsoever. Now, I'm an old man, I'm an old geek, I'm an old nerd, and it's kind of what they've been saying on commentary. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin did sort of rework how tag team wrestling can be done, especially in 2024. And I just love this thing that wrestling always seems to do. If you stick at it long enough, and if you keep your skill level up to a certain degree, you always get your big moment. You just do. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's very inspiring for other people that may be in the business or doing other endeavors with your life. And I don't think it was too quick. I don't think it was too fast. Why do we want to wait? Why do you want to stand on ceremony, Mr. Wayne? Look how many things we missed out of in terms of CM Punk's AEW run because we got to the next day and everything went crazy. I couldn't wait for CM Punk versus Bryan Danielson. And now we're never going to, right? You are never going to get that on the stage that we probably should have got it. And also, it tied directly into a story, and that's all I ever need with pro wrestling. Now, the other criticism I've seen is, oh my gosh, because we did everything with the Bloodline, it's overshadowed the title win. Didn't overshadow it with me. I don't know who you're referring to. And I left watching this program, again, just being delighted and being excited about what we're going to do next week. Because, of course, for starters, we get the Motor City Machine Guns versus DIY. What an incredible universe we're living in. Because even maybe 5 years ago, in fact, definitely 5 years ago, you wouldn't have got that match. So that's wonderful. That's brilliant. It absolutely ticks my box. Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley win that one. The Bloodline come out instantly. Solo Sikoa made me laugh with his whole Impact joke. And they do the match. And we tied the match into the legacy of the Machine Guns because Nick Aldis, who kind of came up with them, or at least would have had a relationship with them in TNA, is like, okay, I get it. I don't really want to do it, but you can go. And then we mix it all in with the Bloodline stuff. And I think the Bloodline stuff should always be the headline or whatever you want to call it to some degree, because it goes back to what Roman Reigns says. If we allow this family bickering to continue, it's just going to ruin everything. And now it is ruining everything because Jimmy Uso comes there, he gets rid of Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa as well as Roman Reigns. And then Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa are going to cheat. But then who's there when the referee is down? It's Jey Uso in a hoodie, because you have to have a hoodie if you are going to interfere, on behalf of the Bloodline. He takes everybody out. The Motor City Machine Guns hit the Skull and Bones, I think they're calling it. They get the 1, 2, 3. So I'm just over the moon. I can't believe this has happened. And maybe if we didn't do it here, we would never have done it, and that would have annoyed me twice as much. And then Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso get into a big hug-a-thon as Roman Reigns looks on like, oh, I don't know what to do. I feel like the odd man out. I love it when stories converge like this. I love it where there can be a reason, especially because even in 2024, I doubt that WWE was ever going to let Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin defeat the Bloodline just straight up clean in the middle. And maybe also that wouldn't have worked for the story that we're trying to tell going into Survivor Series, because again, there now is this sort of sword of Damocles hanging over everything. The Bloodline can both help people, but also unhelp them, depending on what's going down. But also, you know, Jey Uso did lose his championship due to the Bloodline. So the Bloodline losing their tag team titles to the Motor City Machine Guns, like, I didn't hear anyone going, oh man, Bron Breakker's win looks rubbish. So I don't think it's the same for Shelley or Sabin either. And it was just the right thing to do. And sometimes I don't think you need to get into the nitty gritty. You just need to watch the product that's being beamed out to you and go with it. And also, in 2024, if you were going to have a criticism aimed at WWE, it would be the tag team division. Amazingly, the women's tag team division may be the best one right now. Over the last few years, that was not the case. So it is something we need to focus on. So you got DIY in there. Maybe we're going to tease a breakup with them, because of course Johnny Gargano accidentally hit a kick that is super into Tommaso Ciampa's face. Surely the Bloodline want back in, and there are other teams that you could move into this position too. I absolutely would merge the titles. I think the whole division would improve hugely if you could have the guys on Raw and the guys on SmackDown going after it. You could have one big tournament a year for the tag team titles, and I would like that too. But in terms of the last 20-25 minutes for SmackDown, I just had such a good time. And like, again, it was like on a roller coaster. I wanted to share my opinions on it. I wanted to talk about it. And if you do check out my SmackDown review over on What Culture Wrestling, subscribe to them, and please do subscribe to me too. Watch my ups and downs. I gave it a damn golden up to give you a little bit of a spoiler, especially because now we are heading towards Survivor Series, where most most definitely going to do Bloodline versus Bloodline, meaning Sami Zayn is probably also going to throw his hat back into the ring. And somehow we're getting nostalgia for things that happened in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, even though it's only 2024, and that doesn't make any sense. So a huge win all around. And again, I do think it lights a fire under the tag team division. I'm just so happy for Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. I don't care. Sometimes I like to watch wrestling and focus on the human side of things because I am a human and I know that we all have brains. So massive. I mean, I couldn't give it more of a thumbs up, right? I kind of skipped around on a Saturday morning. And if I am going to watch wrestling all the time, sometimes I think we do need to take more risks. Even if it turns out to be an absolute bust. All right, just retroactively fit it out down the line. You have 52 SmackDowns a year. I'm pretty sure we can do it, but I don't think you're going to drop the ball. I think we're going to use this because, one, if you are a fan of the Machine Guns, you should be elated. And two, if you're not, you've never heard of them, which is totally cool. Maybe you're just a WWE guy. They just told you need to care about this tag team, and the commentators will put them over massively. And in fact, the only negative that I could draw from last night's SmackDown was it's not even a negative because there was a good side to it too. But it was so obvious at the pay-per-view premium live event, we were going to do LA Knight versus Andrade versus Carmelo Hayes for the US title. I actually think Andrade or Carmelo Hayes should win. I think there should be some kind of shenanigans and Carmelo pins Andrade, so LA Knight loses it. I think that would create quite the powder keg of controversy, which is the name of my brand new EP. But the only reason there was a slight negative, as I say, being a negative Nancy, is because it was Game 7 and WWE had hyped up Game 7. But the only reason LA Knight was a special guest referee was so that there was no winner. You knew that was coming in order to justify the triple threat too. But I couldn't help it. I still felt a bit disappointed because Andrade and Melo are so good together. Sometimes I just want a winner and a loser. That's when I kind of get rid of the entertainment part of things and I focus more on the sport, but I still enjoy where we're going with it, so it's hard to get too mad, especially because, I said this on Ups and Downs, if you read the fictional record book, it's going to have to say match ended when referee went nuts, which shouldn't be allowed, even in simulated sport, but it did make me giggle, and I like the fact that La continued to wear his championship belt, even though he was meant to be the official. But again, the match was absolutely great. I suppose you could argue could do another Game 7 now, because this one was called off. We didn't actually get a winner, so maybe there's more to it, and maybe if Carmelo Hayes does win, that's when you can say, oh, we're going to do Game 7 properly, and you ban LA Knight from ringside. But that was good. Really like the fact that we're going to do the mega super duper whoop women's tag team tag on the Crown Jewel show, because again, I want those belts to continue to raise up. And I liked everything with Naomi and Nia Jax. Like, Tiffany Stratton is back after, I think she actually did have the flu, which is why she wasn't on SmackDown. But it was just more planting of seeds, and maybe we do that at Crown Jewel too. I kind of think Tiffany Stratton is going to cash in on Nia Jax because it feels to me like WWE has really increased the heat on their relationship not being as rosy-wosy as maybe we thought. Like, Tiffany was like, I will take on Naomi for you, Nia, given I was absent. And Jack was like, no, Candice LeRae beat Bayley last week, so I'm going to go with her as well. So again, if Tiffany does cash in, she can just use it as, you were horrible to me, and I've now taught you a lesson. Candice LeRae did not win, which is kind of interesting because she did get that tag team pin over Bayley, whatever the hell it was, 7 days ago. So you don't want her to disappear again because she did disappear for a long old while. So I'm intrigued what we're going to do here. I mean, maybe there is something with Bayley because she came out to take out Indy Hartwell when she was interfering. Maybe we're going to do like Bayley and Naomi versus those two. I still kind of think Naomi's going to turn on Bayley at some point. But Naomi did win here, so is she going to have a championship match against Nia Jax? I don't know. Although again, Tiffany Stratton could be the champion in like a couple of weeks. So that's going to open the door as well. But again, I like the relationships here. And sometimes, as long as I get into what the relationships are, I have no problem with it, which also ties into the start of the show and everything with Randy Orton. Really enjoyed the fact he yelled at Triple H when he was going through gorilla position, calls him out. Triple H is like, listen, I don't think you should fight Kevin Owens right now. He's in a really bad place, and he thinks you're a bit of a goober. And then we talked about this too. If you are in wrestling and you are talking to a general manager or someone that has the power, don't worry about what they say. Just yell at them for a little bit and maybe bring up the past, and they will absolutely bend to your whim. So we are doing Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton at Crown Jewel, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure Kevin Owens has skipped Saudi Arabia shows in the past. Maybe a different video for a different day. But I think Kevin Owens has to win this. We have Saturday night's main event in December, or is it January? It's at some point over the next couple of months because when we come out of the Survivor Series, we don't have another proper pay-per-view until the Royal Rumble. So the Netflix show should be treated like a pay-per-view. I'm pretty sure Saturday night's main event is December. That should be treated like a pay-per-view too. I think that should be Kevin Owens versus Cody Rhodes on there, meaning Randy Orton has to lose in Crown Jewel to Kevin Owens. I really think we have to do that, and then maybe somehow that ties into the Randy Orton heel turn, because when he came out to save Cody later, that we will talk about, he was looking at that championship again. So once more, there is the planting of seeds, but I really enjoy this whole what is Kevin Owens going to be like when he does return? Are we going to give him a new lick of paint? Are we going to present him differently? No one is going to agree with me here. And I'd say you can't do it on Saturday's main event, but if you did, you would establish that show as something important. I wouldn't mind if Kevin Owens defeated Cody and became the champ, even if he holds it for a month and then he wins it back on that Netflix show. If you did something like that, people forget quite quickly these days. And once more, they're going to do 4 Saturday night's main events a year. So when you got to the second, the third, and the fourth one, people are like, well, I better tune in because I don't know what the flub I'm going to see. And Randy Orton, while he is involved, is also the outlier. But really cool to see Randy Orton and Triple H sort of involved in a dialogue, especially because Randy Orton is massive. He's so big. Make Triple H look small. I'm pretty sure that Triple H is not a small man, but I just liked it. And it's a match that I do want to see. And again, both Randy Orton and Triple H were really selling Kevin Owens like this mega super duper whooper threat. And while we've talked about it, I can't stand the way we've got to Gunther versus Cody Rhodes for that horrendous-looking Saudi title. Those two went out there and they hit a home run promo segment. Like, Gunther is becoming a promo king when Cody's like, you don't understand the responsibility of being a champion. That's how Cody talks now. Gunther's like, no, I can just say no to things, unlike you, because you're dramatic and a bit of a wuss that wants to be John Cena. He's just great. And the problem is he's going to turn himself babyface because he is so good at it. Cody, I just love. He's a 1983 babyface in 2024, but he's working, and that is so important to have in a wrestling company. If you can get what they call it, like a white meat babyface, and they're over like a white meat babyface, it's only going to benefit you. It's why I think Willow Nightingale is so good in AEW, and we should do more with her too. He punches Gunther in the face. They get into a schmoz when Randy Orton comes out. And next week on SmackDown, this is a spoiler. So go away now if you don't want spoilers. I'm only going to talk about it for a minute. We are getting Imperium versus Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. But also on that show, Roman Reigns also reunites with his cousins properly. And they do the one. So that's a banger SmackDown too. So we have a lot to look forward to. And then we can get through Crown Jewel, which actually now does have more importance to it, aside from the Crown Jewel Championship. But then again, the rumor there is that maybe Gunther is going to get screwed by Goldberg. Now, I'd set the internet nuts this week, and I will do a specific video on it, so I won't keep you too long here. But just do it, man. I don't care. I want chaos in my life. As I always say, I'm Dr. Robotnik. Once again, we'll move past it so damn fast. And if you do a Gunther versus a Goldberg at Saturday's Night Main Event, or that's probably going to be Damian Priest, maybe on that Netflix show, you bring in Goldberg to do that. As long as Gunther wins, that's only going to help Gunther, right? I don't mind him losing to Cody Rhodes after he gets screwed over, because he's not even actually losing his championship, which is why that match is so dumb, because Cody Rhodes could easily come out and say, well, I'm the double champ now. I beat the world champion, but what will happen is we'll get out of Crown Jewel, and WWE won't mention this again until we go back to Saudi Arabia, which is another reason, along with many other reasons, those shows can be quite stupid. But, I think Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan may have more weight to it if Tiffany Stratton does cash in. You are getting Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, which again could be a massive deal. You got the big women's tag team match, and they have the US title match too. Plus, maybe Braun Breaker does something with the Intercontinental title. No, we're doing Bronson Reed versus Seth Rollins, which has story to it. So I'll hold my judgment off just for now. But yes, SmackDown absolutely smashed it out of the park. I thought it was super fun, especially with the Randy stuff at the start that then bled into the Bloodline stuff at the end, with the Cody stuff in the middle, as well as the other stories we're telling. It just all felt important. And it all felt like, oh my gosh, I'm being rewarded for how much I have watched recently. And it also proved that a 2-hour show for wrestling is the best. And I hope that WWE can kind of get that going for Raw. I do think Raw is getting better every single week, although it doesn't matter because when we do go to Netflix, I think more often than not it's going to go 3 hours because they're going to want to have adverts and they're going to want to have sponsors and they're going to want to make a lot of money. Otherwise, why bother doing it? It's a business, as much as we don't like to say it. But yes, thumbs up from me. Jimmy and Jey Uso hugging at the end. Again, the original Bloodline are coming back together, and it all makes sense as well. Like, Jey Uso was turned around because we stole my title, man. So now I understand I have to fight for the greater good. And when you do have Roman, Jimmy, Jey, and Sammy, we can just cry, man. We can have water coming out our seeing devices, and there's nothing wrong with that. But more importantly, I want to know what you thought about last night's episode of SmackDown. Leave me a comment below. Anything is fine. Even the people that yell at me going, Simon, you have such loser takes. Of course I do. I'm a massive loser. Like the video, share the video, subscribe. Turn on all the notifications, including on the mobile app, which apparently is the most important one. Otherwise, you can go to grillermind.com/Simon and use code Simon to get 10% off. These are fitness supplements I use. You can also go to prowrestlingtees.com/Simon Miller to get your dumb wrestling merchandise from me. If you want to work out at home with Anthony go to a Go Fitness. Use my code Simon20. If you want to support me more, it's patreon.com/Simon316. Come and give me a follow on social media because that place is hell these days. Simon316. I can give you a cameo at Simon Miller, and I'm on TikTok at Simon J. Miller. That's it. I appreciate you. Thank you for joining me as always. Remember, wrestling is meant to be fun, so let's be as positive as possible. And I'll catch you on the next one.